We're going to go ahead and start this meeting. And oh shoot, Rich, how do I get, like, if I want to hand this over to Jarrett, what would I do? Or, you know, if it's too much of a pain, we can just do it another time.
Jared is online with us.
Yes, I believe he is.
Tell him to open up his video, turn his video on, and unmute.
Okay. So, Jarrett Mendez, are you on? And if so, open up your video and then unmute yourself so you can give a museum report.
Okay. Can you hear me at the moment?
We can.
Okay. I don't know why my video is not working.
We can see you.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Hello.
Okay. Cannot figure that out.
All right.
I couldn't get my laptop to work.
Okay.
Okay.
So just so that I want to introduce you for a second. So Jarrett is our museum coordinator, and he's doing a great job. And we even received a email from some folks in Pasadena that sent us an email just to let us know how much they enjoyed visiting with Jarrett at the museum. So we thought that was just really great because this is his first year working with us. So Jarrett, were you ready to give us a museum report?
Yes.
All
I
right.
can start right now.
Okay.
Hi guys, my name is Jarrett Mendez. I am the new museum coordinator, and this is the report for the month of June. Since the beginning of June, we had over 657 guests. Guests have come from France, Hawaii, Germany, and Canada. We've collected over $623 in donations for the month of June. We have a new book for sale at the museum, Magnificent, Majestic Mono Lake by Andrew and Harriet Smith. Linda has ordered new t-shirts, stickers, coffee mugs, water containers, and wine glasses for sale at the museum. I am currently finishing accessioning files of 2021 and working on accessioning 2022 files. Linda is acquisitioning files donated by Tom Perenick that will soon be accessioned as well. The Andrews family will be donating their family history to be on display at the museum. Lastly, I would like to thank Cole, Alden, Linda, Robin, and Lenore for helping keep the museum open every day, as well as all the hard work they do for the museum. Thank you. That is the monthly report of June.
Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
And I'm going to go ahead and get the t-shirts and stuff and see if I can hold them up so people can see what they look like. Okay, this is the back of, let's see. Whoa, how do I make it come in better? Am I making people dizzy? Let's see.
Just a second.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm ready to get that. There you are.
Okay, so this is the Nellie Bly O'Brien Upside Down House t-shirt. And so the t-shirt shows the, you can see that the house is upside down. And if we turn it, if you want to stand on your head wearing the shirt, you will have a right side up house, but your trees will be upside down. So, and we have them in children's sizes as well. So that's a new thing for us because the kids really, really like the upside down house. And then we have a really, I don't know how to do this. Okay, we're going to unfuzz. Okay, so then we have this very cool mug that has the upside down house on it. And water bottle with the upside. It's sort of hard to see here, but any of you come by the museum, these are really nice looking and really nice. And my favorite is the upside down house wine glass. And as a lady pointed out, if you drink enough wine, the house is right side up. And so we thought that was really cool. So those are at the museum, and So if you come on by, they're all there, and there's lots of sizes of the t-shirts. And I think we even are having the regular museum t-shirts coming in with some new sizes as well. Let's see, Linda, anything more? You want to come in? Okay, I'm going to keep going on and let Linda chew, and then we're going to come back. So just some things that are happening is Bob Marks and Dave Carl have been able to get the sprinklers on the museum property to no longer blast our artifacts with water, which is like, after 35 years, this is really a huge accomplishment. It's awesome. So if you drive by the museum, you'll see grass dying, and that is a good thing. And so what we needed to decide next is what to do where the dying grass is, whether it's rock, DG, or what. So there will be more to come on that. But this was a huge accomplishment. It's really, really nice. Oh no, not all the grass is dying. It's just by the artifacts. It's selected areas. And so they've even adjusted to each side of the porch so that the grass gets watered, but the tractor doesn't get watered, and the museum doesn't get watered. So that's really nice. And then I don't know if the original sign that we had for the museum on both sides of the building was peeling. And so what we did is we got 2 new signs. And so this is a picture of the new sign. So if you drive by the museum, you'll see these signs on both sides of the building. And we've got a new porch light that should arrive sometime this week. And then Bob Marks is going to come over and install that. And it will come on at dusk and go off at dawn. So we'll actually have a light that comes on at the museum. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. That would be, we might be able to come up with that. We've just had a request for upside down coveralls for the maintenance men. And if we are able to get those, we will expect them to be modeled at the next meeting. So, and then Chris Toomey, who's not here tonight, he is fishing in Alaska. So we're hoping he's going to bring back some fish. But he's been working on the Felicina house. And we felt really fortunate. We've been able to find some folks in town that have some old metal roofing, because the worry was if we bought new metal roofing, it would look really odd on that really old building. And I really enjoyed the way that Chris explained to me the other day. First of all, he calls the Felicina house her. And he said that he really feels like he's giving her palliative care. That, you know, she's got a lot of damage, but she's old, but he's taking care of her. And I thought that was really a neat way of telling us he's really taking her to heart. We had talked about last week getting a meeting together to discuss the various projects, and life's happened, and I just haven't quite gotten that done. So that's sort of happening stuff. Linda, you ready? Okay, I'm going to bring Linda the microphone. Hang on just a sec.
I'll try to make it quick. So I started going through some of those boxes of norms, and it's a mind-boggling job to try to decide what to keep and what to throw away, because everything has to be checked and read, and then you don't know whether you want to keep it or not. So it's terrible. The bird lovers basket for Chautauqua raffle made $166 and was won by an 11-year-old boy who was just happy as could be, right? And fortunately, they were able to come by and pick it up, so we didn't have to mail all those books. And the summer raffle for the ghosts this year is going to be a donated painting of the Mono Lake School. I'm not sure it's framed, but I will find out. And a bookcase was donated to the museum by the Bridgeport Colony, Indian Colony, facilitated by Janice Mendez, who is MBH a trustee. Thank you, Janice. And thank you to the colony. A thank you to the colony will be sent. The bookcase will be used for a Yosemite Eastern Sierra Research Library in the annex. And I keep finding more and more books and documents on all kinds of things that have happened here in the, with the material like Ellen was talking about. Where do you put it? And then Tom Pernick did donate some Conway family info photos and some wonderful old maps, 7 old maps that are very fragile, some of them, but one of them is of Levining and it lists all the owners of the particular parcels, 1934 and a 1939 one. So those will be available. Also, we decorated, Lenore and I decorated the upside down house a little bit. We had found some stuff in the museum that had been bought for it. And people made comments, they thought it was festive. Oh, and then, okay, that's it.
Okay. Okay, let's see. And, oh, okay, now, ghost tickets are now on sale. So that you know, our ghost is, tell me if I've got it wrong, Dave, A Roaring Decade, 1922 to 1932, celebrating schools and lodges in the Mono Basin. Okay. And it's August 26th and 27th. The dinner is the 26th. The tickets are available on our website. What we did this year, if you bought them on the website last year, you know that it would charge sales tax, and then we would have to go in and refund the sales tax. And after many different trials and working with Squarespace, there was just no way to be able to do this. And so they told me that what they suggested is we go to Eventbrite and put a link to Eventbrite on the site, which is what we have done. So the tickets are there now for sale. The dinner usually sells out, and we are expanding it to 100 from 90 this year. Hillary felt that they could take on 10 more folks. And but if you can purchase your tickets early, that really helps us. And it helps us with planning for the tour, as well as for the dinner, because you know we're talking about food for people at both times. And then what we thought we would do this year is that the first 25 people that purchase tickets will do a drawing for 2 of these lovely wine glasses. So hopefully that will encourage you to go in and buy tickets. The tickets will also be available tomorrow afternoon and on at the museum. And so you can either call the museum and we can do it over the phone with a credit card, or you can stop by and we take cash, check, and credit card. So Dave, anything more on the ghost? Hey, you want to come and talk about it? Yes, you are very good at that.
She just said I was good at whetting people's appetite for what's coming. Some neat things just have been happening. We have lined up, we haven't yet recorded it, but we're going to be doing a recording via a Zoom call with Joe Scanavino in Florida, who will tell us about the goat ranch school that operated right up until 1922, I think it was. And that's going to be really a special thing. We have plans, and it's going to happen soon, I think. I'm looking over at Robin, to go and videotape Lily Matthew talking in person, and then run both of these videos will be available on the Saturday tour of the Ghost as one of our final things of the day. I just got a call today and got an offer from another speaker I was really hoping would join us, and that's Vanessa Hess, to talk to us about Augie Hess's early years as a student in the schoolhouse, and a lot of good stories that that family has. A lot of them are in Augie's book, which we sell, but that will also become part of this day. And the other things that are happening for the day, we have mentioned this before. We're going to start at the schoolhouse. We hope to have one of the old teachers, Nora Archer, present with us. If we can finagle that, we got to get her out of the cemetery, Robin says. We're working on how to get that done. And we hope to have, some of these other speakers, like Vanessa Hess there. We're going to, after the morning activities that will be happening at this, or just outside of the schoolhouse, we're going to walk over to, or we'll move over to Lakeview Lodge, and we're celebrating the 90th anniversary. It's the 100th anniversary for the school, 90th anniversary in 1932 for the Lakeview Lodge. And the Banta family is going to be telling us their stories, and we're working on that too. So, and then we're going to finish up going over to the Presbyterian Church, where we'll show the videos indoors, where we have a nice big screen to do that. So it'll be another good one, we hope. And come get your tickets. I was hoping I could buy them tonight, but we should, you know what we should do? This is a joke, I'm kidding, but we only have about 13, 14 people in the room, and we've been trying to get more people to come back and join us for these in-person potlucks. And I think at the August potluck, you should give a discount for buying tickets if you attend and buy them at the dinner. We need to find a way to encourage people to come to these. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, and then now we had a very successful bird breakfast. Lenore, you want to tell us about that? You want to come over? Or, okay.
Yes, hi everybody. So the bird breakfast was pretty successful. We didn't get blown away. We started out cold. It was 32 degrees, but the early birders showed up, and they didn't get worms, but they got Nicely's quiche, and they got muffins. Robin made muffins. Rebecca made muffins. We had breakfast parfaits, so everybody got something good to eat. We did move inside the museum this year because the weather was so bad, and people commented that they loved being able to see what they were supporting. So that was really nice that people could come in and, look around while they grabbed their cup of coffee before they went out to look for a bird. Because of the generous donations that we got from all of the local businesses and the people that came and supported us, we made $582 through food sales, $71 in additional donations, for a total of $653 for a morning breakfast, 4 hours in the morning. Yeah, so there was a suggestion that we may want to do a coffee and a pastry for the Friday morning sign up when everybody's here early and there's nothing open and they'd like coffee then. So that might be another opportunity. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So it's really quite an effort for the bird breakfast because Lenore gets there at dark, and I think she was thinking maybe the sheriff might come by, but he didn't, so we were all good. So our next fundraisers are on July 23rd. And that's the artisan ice cream and Indian taco sale. So Priscilla, can you come and talk to us about artisan ice cream?
Hello, please come to our event. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it is artists and ice cream. There's no charge to get in, but we do have buckets for donations. Plus we're having raffle ticket sales. Now with the raffle tickets, you have a chance to win. I think we'll be drawing every half an hour an item that one of the artists who is there has contributed. So we have a table with all of the items on it. And then when you win, you can pick which one you would like. So I should back up a little bit by telling you that at this point, we have 8 different artists who are coming to display their artwork. And so they will be at tables. We have, I just mentioned this guy because this is so different. He came last year for the first time. Do you remember the guy who was making and selling belts? Yeah. People were there all the time. And I called him and he said, oh, I had such a good time last year. I'm going to be there again. So we have ice cream sundaes, and this is all being donated. There will be live musicians playing, and this is at Hess Park, mostly in the pavilion, the solar pavilion, but I know we're going to have to be out on the grass also. So the 23rd of July, please come and join us. And last year we had about 100 people there. This is a fundraiser for Mono Basin Historical Society. Oh, the event goes from 10 until 3 o'clock. Did I cover everything? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Priscilla. Okay, and just so that we can make sure that people eat a balanced meal on that day, we have an Indian taco sale going on here at the community center. And Janice, if are you available to put your video on and unmute and talk to us about the Indian taco sale?
Okay, yes, I am.
All right.
So we're getting set up for the 23rd. We're going to be selling our tacos. I think we said starting at 11, and we'll run till what, about 5, 6, until we run out of supplies. We have I've got a good group of people signed up to work in the kitchen with me, and then of course Robin and Lenore are going to be doing the cash at the front to make sure that the sales get handled, and then the people that work food don't have to touch cash. So it's going to go real smooth. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a good transition, you know, and I understand that the Kutsetica days are all at the same time. So that kind of posed a little problem, but we're not going to be using the refrigerator. So that problem is resolved. We're just going to keep moving forward, and you know, I mean, I'm obligated to do this. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a huge success. Anyway, I'm just waiting. I've got my list and stuff prepared that I'm going to give to Lenore, because I understand she'll be doing the shopping for me. Hey, I don't have to. But yeah, we're ready to go.
Okay, thank you, Janice. So this should be a real fun weekend on the 23rd, because we're going to have the artists, we're going to have the Indian taco sale, we're going to have ice cream. I think that the whole Matley Avenue is going to be Mono Basin Historical Society, so that should be fun. So we're going to get ready here for our program. First, I want to tell you about next month's program, and we'll be back next month on the first Monday of the month. And we're going to have Bob Marks is going to be presenting Human and Natural Landscapes, the Mono Basin as seen through the U.S. Census, 1900 to 1940. And Bob is an awesome speaker, and so you might want to come to here, to actually into the community center to have him be here, because he's I don't know how we're going to keep you from walking around though. Yeah, Rich may have to have a camera. You should see Rich's face right now. So, and tonight's program, Rich is giving us, it's Mono Names, the curious way we name things. And as most of you know, Rich is our Zoom expert, but he's an expert in many more items. He does all of our audio visual, you know, we record the meetings and the programs, and then but Rich has to do all this magic on the back end to make it so that we can put it on the YouTube site, and then he puts it on the YouTube site so folks can refer back to, or if they've actually missed the meeting, then they're able to watch the meetings. Rich is also our MBHS chairman of our board, and so we greatly appreciate that. Rich just is like one of these persons that you ask, you know, can you help? And he says, sure. And it's really appreciated. When I think about Rich, I just think he's just a super guy. And thank you so much. And so now there is Duncan from England. Woohoo! We not only have visitors to the museum from England, but we have them come to our meetings. So we're going to go ahead and hand this over to Rich so we can start the presentation. And thank you so much, Rich.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. In an endeavor to do things differently, every time we do this, I have a brand new microphone. So things could get wonky. So let's see. Let me do a little bit of computer magic on my machine so I can find where this presentation is. And there we are, Mono names. Before I start, is this a little loud? Okay. Before I start, I thought I'd talk about the genesis of this little talk. And it's to, sure. They're not seeing that name. Just we're the only ones here. This does allow me to find out who accidentally unmuted themselves and quickly erase them from existence. So thank you. So a number of years ago, I worked for the Southern Mono Historical Society, the other historical society, as a storyteller on the Lakes Basin trolleys. This was something that about a dozen of us did, and we rode the trolleys afternoons of weekends throughout the summer. And we'd sit there and we'd jabber on, we'd tell tall tales and true, and try to entertain the tourists that were there. And what's out of sight on this view is the trailer of 20 bicycles that would be going up for them. So that continues to this day and is quite a popular little program. I did that for a couple of years, and it was appreciated. Here's Barbara Richter is appreciating the trolley. How this would work is we'd start at the village and we'd go all the way to Horseshoe Lake and then back. And that would take about an hour for the entire run. Isn't that interesting what just happened? But there are maybe 12 stops on this. So the longest uninterrupted opportunity to give a story was 7 minutes as the trolley went from the village to Twin Lakes. So I had several stories, including one that I decided to talk about the odd ways that we name things here, but I had to keep it down to a 7-minute talk. And so I talked rather fast at that time. And my thought was at least maybe I could get tourists to pronounce the word mono correctly. So back around the same time, I performed at the storytelling festival that at Hayden Cabin, the Southern Mono Historical Society had. And one of the talks I had was an expanded version of mono names. They were looking for talks that were 14 to 15 minutes in length. So I doubled my 7-minute talk, padded it up and got some more content and came in right around 14 minutes. Tonight, these talks typically go 40 and 50 minutes. So I'm going to be padding my 7-minute talk rather remarkably. And hoping that you don't notice too much, but I will be showing pretty pictures, so that'll slow things down. And I will be padding it in all kinds of unusual directions, including, before I begin, and haven't begun yet. Oh, that's right, I was going to start my stopwatch. I am recording this remarkably. Notice that I called my activity on the trolley storytelling, and here's the storytelling festival. That's how I identify. However, if you look, this is the Mono Basin Historical Society, not the Storytelling Society. And we have some actual historians in here. I'm looking at Bob Marks and Dave Carl here. But storytellers and historians, well, they share a common ancestry. At one time we were all storytellers, and then historians started getting enamored by facts. Well, facts and storytellers, we have a different relationship than facts and historians. So, for example, storytellers are going to recognize this quote, this Don Quixote quote, and recognize it as truth, because a lot of storytellers will tell you that we're looking for a deeper truth to things, and that's a load of crap. We're just, if it's not entertaining, we don't want to tell a story at all. Because a real historian would have me add this, that Miguel de Cervantes did not write that in his book, Don Quixote. That was written in the 1960s by Dale Wasserman for the musical Man of La Mancha. So our relationship with facts is a little different. Now there is a third, I'm going to check that I have something turned on. Oh, good. There is a third related discipline, that's journalism. So for Cole's benefit, I'm going to let Classic Hollywood answer where their position is on facts. And that is, hello, there we go.
Well, you're not going to use the story, Mr. Scott?
No, sir. This is the West, sir. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend.
He's right, Rance.
John Ford's Man Who Shot Liberty Valance from 1964. When the legend becomes fact, print the legend. So now that I've told you to disregard everything I say from here on, we will actually begin. Now, when the Puritans left England, their leader, John Winthrop, Reverend John Winthrop, charged them to build a society as a city upon a hill. Well, of course, the city needs a name, and often the hill needs a name as well. So how did the English name things? Well, they would name things after famous people. William Penn gives us Pennsylvania, and William Pitt gives us Pittsburgh, and of course, the second Baron of Baltimore, you can figure that out. Henrietta Maria, there goes by a different name. She was Charles I's queen, and she was Queen Mary. So it is from her that we get Maryland. And English love to name the new towns after the towns that they left back in England. There's a Boston and Lincolnshire. And York gets a couple of different treatments here. York, Pennsylvania, New York, New York. New York's interesting. That used to be New Amsterdam, so it was named after two European capitals. This is a tendency that I find rather interesting. Maybe Duncan can defend himself on this. Why, if you weren't doing so well in one town, so poorly that you decided to move 6,000 miles west and take up a new life in a wilderness, why on earth would you celebrate the town that you couldn't make it in? But it's a real English thing, and they would do that, especially if the town was Manchester. So their Manchester is all up and down the eastern seaboards, and there's one in Southern California. So, and they did recognize that there were other people living here, and at times these other people had named stuff. There on the left is Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island. Our grandchildren and the people they live with live in the lower left-hand corner of that. And Narragansett might actually be close to what the real pronunciation is supposed to be. But you see, Connecticut got pretty far away because we couldn't figure out how to pronounce Quannaquack, whatever that is. And whether it really is a word for a long tidal river, you can decide for yourself. Also in Rhode Island is this thing, and nobody can figure out how to pronounce this, so all the locals just call it Quani. So here in California, we have the Spanish, and they gave us Catholic saints, St. Francis and St. Barbara and St. Peter. San Pedro in California, in Los Angeles, is properly pronounced San Pedro. So we can butcher the pronunciation of European languages as well. So with that in mind as to what the precedence was, how did we do? Well, on the subject of naming things for people, not too badly. Josiah Whitney got his mountain, and George and Mary Calvert got their lakes. We at times had a little trouble with spelling, and we got a little flighty, I suppose. Here, Lake Jesse is now Tioga Lake, and there's Jesse. There's Jesse and William Ongst. I don't know what Jesse did to get a lake unnamed after her, but I'm sure there's a scandal in there somewhere. So, but the real unique character starts with this big thing out our back door here, Mono Lake, and it's the size of San Francisco. And Stranger Lake you won't find. Terminus Lake, water flows in but doesn't flow out, and when it evaporates out, it leaves salts and nasty chemicals behind. So now it's several times saltier than the ocean, and it has a pH around that of bleach. And there's certainly no fish that live in this. Of course, there's trillions of this little guy, these brine shrimp, but our story really involves this guy, the alkali fly, who lives around the perimeter of Mono Lake in the tens of millions. They would they'd lay their eggs underwater, and the eggs would hatch there, and the larvae would live underwater until they would emerge as fly. Well, that larva, there's a typical shoreline with the flies. So the larva was gathered by the indigenous people, the people that lived at the lake here, and they crushed it together into a paste, almost like peanut butter. It turns out to be a pretty nutritious food. So besides living on the food themselves, they would take this fly larva food over the hills, and they trade with the Central California Indians, the Miwoks and Yakuts. And the Yakuts had a name for our people here at the lake. They called them the fly people or fly eaters. And in that term, in their language, that term is Monachi. So American map makers thought, Monachi, that sounds pretty good, but it's a little long, so they shortened it, and they called the lake Mono. Wasn't even from the local Indians. So in 1861, the newly founded county became Mono, named for the biggest thing in there, Mono Lake, and now we've got Mono Market and Mono Cone. So it's Mono everywhere except up 120 into the hill. We come to another area. We come to the Tioga Pass area, which has gained an identity as a region. We have Tioga Lodge here, and maps even will refer to this area as the Tioga area. So that certainly sounds like an Indian name, and it may even be pronounced roughly close to what it's supposed to be pronounced. And it is an Indian name, but it's a Algonquin Indian from the upstate New York. Anyway, it's from nowhere here, but at the mine that became the Tioga Mine, one of the miners was from upstate New York, and he simply liked the name of the sound of the word. So he named it the Mine Tioga. It might mean where the waters divide, where a river branches, and it might not. But a similar thing happened for lumbermen when they left New York and they went down to found Tioga in Pennsylvania, I guess on their way to founding Tioga in West Virginia. And I have no explanation for Tioga, Texas, but it is the birthplace of Gene Autry. So the maybe the most egregious use of an Indian term starts with this guy. This is William Manley, and he was a guide. He led a group of 49ers across the plains, and for some reason turned left and dumps them into Death Valley. Now there are a bunch of things in Death Valley, including that are named for Manley, including the ancient lake that's there. And while they were wandering around Death Valley trying not to die, they ran into a native there who tradition has it calls him Indian George. There's absolutely no drawings of Indian George, so I'm asking Chief Dan George to stand in for Indian George because he was a terrific actor and one of the most photogenic faces imaginable. Well, somebody from the Manley party comes up to Indian George and points at these things and says, "What are those?" Well, the Indian George, of course, did not have any English. And a strange human trait is when we're talking to somebody but don't share a language, we tend to talk more slowly and maybe louder. And we might gesture wildly as though it's going to help communicate what it is. Well, Indian George apparently did all of that, and somewhere in this gesturing says the word Inyo. Well, our friend from the Manley expedition was really impressed by all of this gesturing apparently. So he says, this Inyo place has got to be really important. I must be, I bet it's the dwelling place of the Great Spirit. Now, 20 years later, somebody runs into Indian George again, who by now speaks a little English, and he says, "Oh, I was confused. I thought he said, who lives up there?" And I said, "Chief Inyo and his family." But even today, you go to Inyo National Forest periodicals, the visitor's guide for Inyo County will tell you that the meaning of Inyo is dwelling place of the Great Spirit. Apparently, that was more suitable than just some random guy. So, but now we have Inyo National Forest and County, and it's the second largest county in California. And leaving butchering Indian terms aside for a while, my story takes us to this. This is Mineral Hill, Red Mountain. That's right behind Lake Mary there. In 1877, gold was struck right there. And let's see, let me get you acclimated. Here's Lake Mary. Let me get an annotation. So here's Lake Mary, and here's where gold was discovered. And here is Old Mammoth Road and Lake Mary Road, okay? So 1877, gold was discovered, and there we go. And by 1878, there were over 24 mining claims on that side of the hill, just abutting into them. And in late 78, those were collected up. Those were all bought up by a Mr. Dodge. And half the books you find will say it's this Mr. Dodge. This is Grenville Dodge, who was a Union Brigadier General and the chief engineer for the Union Pacific Railroad. The other half of the books say, no, it's definitely not that Mr. Dodge. But anyway, some Mr. Dodge bought up all of these mining claims to create a hard rock mining company. Now, when you start a hard rock mining company, the first thing you need is lots of cash. You have to buy the ore cars, the rails for the pickaxes, the dynamite. You have to pay all the people who are going to swing those pickaxes. So you need investors, real investors. You can't just sell it to one another. So you have to get investors which typically come from New York or London. And they're never going to come out here and take a look at this. So you have to tell a good story. And that good story starts with naming your hard rock mining company something that's going to get their interest. So that's why mining companies are named the Wonder Mine or Lucky Boy or Superior. And our Mr. Dodge looks at this and let's see, turn annotation on again. And he comes up with this claim right here, the mammoth claim. Hey, mammoth's a synonym for big. Actually, it's a synonym for giant. Boy, that sounds like a real crackerjack name for a mining company. So Mammoth Mining Company was born, and the little town that popped up next to it is suddenly Mammoth City, and there is suddenly Mammoth Creek and Mammoth Pass. Pumice Peak was renamed Mammoth Mountain, as it is today. And looking at this, if Mr. Dodge had just been a little different, I could have been living in Monumental Lakes, California, or maybe Silveropolis Lakes, California. So, but Mammoth it became. And the at a pretty fair town, this is a map of the author Gary Caldwell, and he recreated what he thinks Mammoth City looked like, and it was pretty good size. There's a lot of dispute as to how many people might have lived in this area, from a low of 500 to a high of maybe 2,000. I'll give Robert Yoki's number. He'll like that. And if you look a little closer at Mr. Caldwell's little map here, you will, come on, you'll find there's hotels and there's saloons, of course, and restaurants and drugstores. You know, it's a little town here, and they even have a post office. Although Caldwell says it might have been on the opposite side of the street, so he's not real sure about that. But Mammoth City burned down in early 1880, and by 1880 they'd noticed that the Mammoth Mining Company wasn't putting out very much in the way of precious materials. So both the mining company and the town disappeared altogether just a couple of years after it came into existence. So most people moved away, but there were some people who decided to stay in the area, in the Mammoth area, and they mostly moved down to the flats, down the meadow, down where the town is right now, and they turned the new settlement into a sportsman's paradise. So there's hunting and fishing was done out of this hub. So you had packed houses and restaurants and hotels, and it grew from that until by the 20s it was a pretty going concern, and the Chamber of Commerce at the time, whatever they called themselves, solicited the federal government saying, we've got enough people here, we deserve a post office. So the US Post Office, the federal government says, yep, we got enough people, but you can't have the name Mammoth City because that's already taken. Doesn't matter that Mammoth City Post Office was about 3 miles away and burned down 40 years earlier. It had already been taken, so you can't name it Mammoth City. So the Chamber of Commerce said, well, we want to keep using the word Mammoth. Why don't we remind people that this is a great place to come fishing? So we'll add the word lakes to it. So that is how Mammoth Lakes Post Office came into being in the 1920s, and in 1984, Mammoth Lakes, California took its name, even though the only lakes in Mammoth Lakes, California are on golf courses. So things kind of slowed down for a while in naming things until 1980, and this happened. Yep, Mount St. Helens. Exploded, killed 36 people. and was just interesting for citizenry of Mammoth for about a week. And then suddenly we had a 6.1 earthquake out here in the caldera. The caldera, which everybody knew about, it was kind of neat, is this ancient volcano that let us alone, suddenly wasn't leaving us alone. People suddenly realized that we were right on the edge of the Long Valley caldera. 3/4 of a million years ago, this thing exploded and sent 120 cubic miles of stuff straight up in the air. That's 200 times greater than the Mount St. Helens eruption. Some of what blew up out of the Long Valley caldera came down in Nebraska. So people were understandably a little excited by that, and especially when the USGS came in and said, you know, the hills out behind the airport, that's part of the Long Valley Resurgent Dome. And it's been swelling up like something bad's going on down below. It went up about 16 inches. And as it went up, the property values went down. And the Chamber of Commerce at that time, or maybe it was the city fathers by then, realized, hey, we have only one paved road in and out of town. That's Highway 203. And it goes straight into the caldera. So they got federal money and got some lumbering roads north, and they paved a 6-mile loop or route out of town and a secondary way to get out of town, and named it the Mammoth Scenic Loop, which of course all locals still to this day call the Volcano Escape Route, thinking that other places in the world don't have a problem with calling roads escape routes. You do that throughout the world. It seems like a good thing. But apparently, once again, the Chamber of Commerce thought it was bad to point out to campers that they're camping on the side of a volcano they may need to escape from. So it's the Mammoth Scenic Loop. And what can you see from the Mammoth Scenic Loop? Trees. There are absolutely no long vistas on the Mammoth Scenic Loop. It is probably the least scenic road in Mono County. But that's the Mammoth Scenic Loop. So let's see where I am. Oh heck, I didn't make it nearly. All right, I'm getting up to 30 minutes. I'm gonna end tonight how I began my talk at the Storytelling Festival with the words of this guy. This is Stephen Vincent Benet. You probably read in high school The Devil and Daniel Webster. That was his best known work. But he also in 1925 wrote these words. I've fallen in love with American names, the sharp, gaunt names that never get fat, the snakeskin titles of mining claims, the plumed war bonnet of Medicine Hat, Tucson and Deadwood and Lost Mule Flat. So that is Mono names. That's how we name things. We butcher or at least wildly misuse Indian words, or we let the Chamber of Commerce come up with something that they think will be non-threatening. So, my name's Rich Foye, and I've fallen in love with Mono names, and that's my report. Yes, I can pull up the chat. I'm not sure if I don't think the people at home can see this, but we can. So, okay, can you let Ellen know I'm online, please? Let's see. Hey, Leica, we watch our cities in town. Oh, okay. I can't figure out why the English would do that. You know, Manchester. What's magic about Manchester? Maybe Duncan could cover that. Don Quixoteville. Yeah. What happened to cheddar? Duncan, if you unmute, you can.
Bloody hell.
Oh, new cheddar. Oh, we'll have to misspell it. Do you know the origin of Chemung Mine? Miners from Chemung County, New York. Oh no, I know nothing about the Masonic area. So we have Urs is on the screen there. He might know something about Masonic. You're muted, Urs, if you're.
Yeah, I'm afraid not that much either.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a lot of place names that receive their names rather dubiously. So welcome to Mammoth Lake. There's a the sign to go down the scenic loop says Mammoth Lake's Scenic Loop. Now that has 3 examples of oddball naming. Mammoth, just to sell more shares to investors. Mammoth Lakes, because we couldn't use Mammoth City. And Scenic Loop, well, not very scenic. So, okay, now let's see. Now we're talking about Chemung River in a town in New York on the border of Pennsylvania. How about Convict Lake? Well, Convict Lake is actually named for convicts. Yeah, appropriately. There's that. Yes, there are many books about it, but Steve knows that. So, all right. Any other real questions? Yes, you young man in the back. Yes, that's a fabrication. As is, I had a friend visit us once, and as we drove into town, he said, he looked up at the rock on the mountain and said, I think I can see the mammoth. So there's another story about how Mammoth was misnamed, but it was strictly, it could have been Bigville. Yes, really big Mineville. Oh yeah, not in Mammoth. That's so. Yes. Right. Okay. You stick with that. Is it? You know, storytelling is an art of getting repeated. So if you get it repeated, that could be the location of Mammoth Lake. Right. Yes. Oh. Nope. Oh, okay. Levining is, say that again? It's named for somebody's first and last name. There's only one other example. Oh, Janet claims there's only one other example in California of a town that has a first and last name for it. Anybody? Anybody? I'll give you a hint. It's a woman. Nobody's coming up with that. Anybody? Yes. No. Okay. Who is Sherman of Sherman Summit? So Sherman's the guy who built the road, the first road that you can still find. Yeah, and you know, there's TJ, who was a Forest Service employee, and Barrett, I think, was a superintendent of Bishop schools, or you know, but I couldn't come up with any good snarky thing to say about it, so I didn't include it. So, yeah, OJ is pointing out that the Inyo craters are north of Mammoth. Yes, hopefully they're not erupting. Well, they only erupt every 600 years, like Panem crater. Uh-oh. So. Okay, so what is the name? Okay, so the other one is Jenny Lind. Jenny Lind. And also Levining's interested in wind. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to turn it on. Switch all the way up.
Just saying hi, Zoom land, that there's Levining's an interesting town name because there's only a few places in California that have the name of a first and the last name of a person. So the other one is Jenny Lind, which is in the Gold Country on the west side, just a couple, very small place. So of course it was Leroy Vining, and also for many years it was Lee Vining all together. And I don't know if anybody knows here when they decided to make it 2 words in the 50s, or why. Why, Dave? Because it's more accurate, but old timers you will still hear around town saying Levining. That's how you know how long you've lived here. If you say Levining, you know you're an old timer. So.
Okay, and on my scoreboard, I was only able to get it out to about 30 minutes. Oh, but wait, there's more. Trace.
I just want to add one other thing about the evacuation route, the emergency evacuation route, otherwise known as the scenic loop. One of our friends has named it the lava loop, which we think is really very appropriate. So
it has a ring to it. It does. It has a nice ring to it. Let's start using it.
We live up from the voodoo shoot in Mammoth, so you can get just about anything repeated. If why it wasn't called?
The question is, why isn't Lee Vining called Lakeview?
I assumed it just was given to honor.
It was Lakeview
Yeah,
at first, and it didn't last long because the doggone post office got involved again.
Oh no!
And they said that there already was a Lakeview, and just like in Mammoth, they wouldn't let it be reused, and so Chris Matley changed the name of his new town to Lee Vining. So yeah, Lakeview is up by Clear Lake, I think, because it. So we're getting all these questions across the room.
Yeah, that's
how
right.
many
How
many Bridgeports are there in California? And for that matter, how many Mill Creeks are there in California?
Twin Lakes. Right?
Thank you so very much, Rich. This was awesome, and it was really fun. It was really fun. Just want to remind everyone of the August meeting is August 1st, and Bob Marks with Human and Natural Landscapes, the Mono Basin as seen through the U.S. Census 1900 to 1940. And I think on that, we're going to go ahead and conclude this meeting. And okay, now we're getting Steve Moore. He is quick on the trigger. He's got 3 Bridgeports, too many Mill Creeks to count. Let's see, origin of Panem Crater name, which you led last Saturday. Okay, I know you can do this one.
Israel Russell claims it's from an Indian dialect and it means lake. However, the Indian dialect that he cites, I've never heard of, and nor has anyone else I've asked, but it's in that book.
So he's telling a story.
He's telling a story, and we're dutifully repeating it.
Absolutely. And on that, we've heard that the legend is definitely better than the facts. And we're going to go ahead and conclude this meeting, and hopefully we will see you all next month, either here or via Zoom. And please buy ghost tickets. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock at the museum, they'll be printed. Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.